Good morning, everyone. Today we have Anwesha Das, and the title of her talk is The Trends in Choosing Licenses in Python Ecosystem. So please welcome.
Am I audible? Yeah, great. Let me share with you a story today. PyCon India 2012, my first PyCon. I was feeling totally out of place. Among all the alien words like API, commit, patch, suddenly I get to hear something familiar, license. I just ran towards the conversation and found out a very strange thing, that all the conversations were ending up with IANAL. I am not a lawyer. And what does that mean? Before going to the story further, a little bit introduction of the storyteller. Hi friends, I'm Anwesha and I am a lawyer, but not your lawyer. Therefore, this talk should not be considered as a legal advice. I'm also the organizer of PyLadies Pune. I use Python to shape my legal projects. I'm a blogger. I maintain my blog at anweshadas.in, where I translate legalese to English. I'm also an active FOSS user. I'm a dancer and a mother to a toddler whose name is Pi. So the love for Python runs in the family. So how this open source world function? How I got interested in this open source world. As I said in the beginning, I am not a lawyer. This phrase has struck me. With that, there was some keep safe distance kind of look, some respect kind of look, and not to forget, some I feel sorry for you, brother kind of look for my husband. So all these things together made me a lawyer interested in the open source world, and they made the foundation for my talk today. So we both lawyers and programmers use language as a tool to achieve our goal, which is sort of cool. But both of these species does not really understand what the other is saying. So let's start this session with the hope that at the end of it, we'll be able to understand each other in a better fashion. So what makes this open source world? Firstly, technology. Secondly, a great community. There are three binding components of a community. Firstly, a good contributor base, a just administration, and the third binding component is a strong licensing model. Oops, here comes the tricky word, license. So when I asked a few developers, what do they understand by the term license, here are a few interesting answers which I got. Firstly, it is the blank look. Secondly, I do not care about license, it bores me. So true. You have to fill up the license name, unless they won't ever accept your package in Fedora. He was so sad. License is something that protects your code. This is a good one and apt too. So what is a license? Let's take a real life example. What of a driving license? So what does a driving license do? A driving license gives you the permission to drive a vehicle on the road. Similarly, a software license gives you the permission to do certain things with the software. Who gives you the driving license? It's the Motor Vehicle Authority. And who gives you the software license? It is the owner of the software. And under which authority, what authority? The Motor Vehicle Department gives you the driver license. It is under the authority of the sovereign or the government. And the software, in case of a software license, the owner gets his permission from a legal regime governing the intellectual sphere that is called copyright. So what is copyright? If we flip the word, copy, write, write, copy, or write over a copy. The definition of the term copyright goes like this. Copyright is an exclusive right to use, distribute, sell the original creation granted for a limited period of time. There are many works like artistic work, literary work, dramatic work. For those things, Copyright, it comes under the purview of copyright. Having said that, it may frown some eyebrows that how come software is copyrighted? Here comes the answer. So how a developer will solve a problem through his code, it's upon his personal choice or expression. That very thing, personal choice or expression, makes you guys quote poet or artist. So you don't really need to apply for the copyright. Everyone automatically gets it over their work. So now let us understand licenses in a Pythonish way. I guess no detailed description is needed for this slide. If I try to explain it, it will be more like explaining Avengers about the shield. But for the official record, PyPI is the third-party software repository for the language Python. Presently, it has 100,000 packages in it, like more than 100,000 packages. Here, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Donald Stuff for doing this mammoth work of maintaining it. And here comes my project, the license usage in Python ecosystem. By now, I hope it is clear to everyone that licenses form a very fundamental structure of this whole open source world. And licenses fixes the destination, the reach of your project. Therefore, I was interested to know which are the licenses that are favored by the developers and why, how many packages are there without any license being mentioned in their metadata or any license file, how to correct those errors, and moreover, what is the licensing scenario of the Python world. So I started off with my project. As the volume of PyPI is gigantic, so I cut it a bit short. I did my survey only on the top 2,500 packages of PyPI. So the first challenge I had to face was that which are the top 2,500 packages of PyPI? Here, PyPI-ranking.info came as a savior. This is how the site looks like. From here, I got the names of the top 2,500 packages. After that, the next challenge was to find the license of each of these packages. Therefore, PyPI provides a very nice JSON API. I queried that, and I got that license information from there. If you can see, there's a key mentioned over there as license, and the value over there as Apache 2.0. And I wrote a very simple Python script which fetched me all these values together. And when I put these values together in a bubble chart, the chart somehow looks like this. And actually, I was more interested to know what is the exact percentage of usage. So I put the same values in another chart. So here, as you can see, BSD is the highest used license in PyPI, to be accurate, in top 2,500 packages of PyPI with 28% of usage. MIT is 25%, not far behind. Both GPL and Apache has 12% of usage each. And I was not considering those packages which has been used less than 20, those licenses which has been used in less than 20 packages. There is one thing, and other thing on the other slide that struck me was no name and unknown. What is this? What are these two licenses? I never heard of it. Evidently, any of these are not licensed. So when a package, in a package, the license is not being mentioned in the metadata, or sometimes it is mentioned in the license key, in the classifier, but not in the license key itself, then it shows throws an error as unknown or no name. We'll be discussing about these things because it's so important in our best practices section. Now, as we are familiar with the different names, let's go to the different licenses. Before that, the present status of the package is, project is that I am submitting patches slowly, and the patches are getting merged for these unknown and unknown name things. To begin our discussion, let us divide all the licenses in the following categories based on the terms on how they are actually controlling the downstream usage. The first category is the proprietary licenses. The software which uses proprietary license gives very less limited, restricted rights to the users. The publisher of the software retains the source code. The user does not have any access to the source code. The users have all their rights written in an end users license agreement called EULA. And it is generally for a limited period of time. The users can agree to this agree to this contract in writing, or interactively on screen, or just by opening up the box containing the software. This is called shrink wrap licensing. If the proprietary license stands on one side of the pole, public domain stands on another extreme. What is public domain? The word domain means field or land. So we can construe the word public domain as the work which is there in the public territory for the use of the public at large. In case of a public domain, all your IP rights, intellectual property rights, are being relinquished. You are actually waiving all your rights. There are basically three ways by which a work can be subjected to public domain, that is dedicated to public domain. Firstly, you can just write it as public domain, or go for unlicensed.org, or you can choose Creative Commons 0. So here is an interesting story about Creative Commons. There are places in which public domain is not possible. The country does not permit it. Creative Commons has been drafted, innovated to solve that problem. So now here comes our way, the open source way. So it is not as strict, rigid as a proprietary license, not as lenient as public domain. It takes a middle path. There are 10 preconditions, 10 significant promises as fixed by the open source initiative that an open source license makes. Among all these 10 promises, free distribution, open source code, make your own derivative works are some primary ones. Now let us divide all these open source licenses on how they impose duties on the downstream users. And the first category is permissive license. To whom the legal terms seem very vague and difficult and tricky to understand, there's a small trick to solve that problem. Generally, what we say, that we mean. Therefore, the meaning of the term lies in the name itself. Not like the programmers who love to name their programming language after a comedy group. So, what is permissive license? As we go the namesake way, permissive license are non-limiting compatible license in nature. But though it is compatible, but it has a severe disadvantage that it can be used in proprietary application. Therefore, it affects the final user's future freedom, in the words of FSF. We can divide the permissive licenses in highly permissive license and in lesser permissive license category. The highly permissive licenses are MIT and BSD. Many of the developers began their conversation as, it's MIT and BSD for me, it's easy. Why it's easy? Because it's only stipulate one condition, that it must retain the credits, that is, the name and the copyright declaration intact. Therefore, no compatibility issues. But as I mentioned in the beginning, that it carries a high risk of proprietary usage. MIT has derived its source from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The language of MIT that has been used in the license itself is quite similar to one particular variant that has been used for expat library. Therefore, MIT is famously known as expat license also. BSD, as my study showed, that it has 28% of usage in top 2,500 packages of PyPI. The alma mater for BSD license is Berkeley Software Distribution. There are different variants of BSD license. The similarity between MIT and BSD are the linking of the software and the modification of the software can be done as per the need of the user. The private usage and sublicensing can also be done. No separate grant of patent clauses there. We'll be discussing it in a bit. And the dissimilarity between these two is that BSD has a specific binary distribution clause, whereas MIT doesn't have one. The next one is the lesser permissive license. Less permissive license, that is Apache. Apache has a very unique clause. It is called grant of patent license. What is a grant of patent license? Let us try to understand it with a real-life analogy. Say a company has a patent on a particular software algorithm, and that the same company releases an open source library that implements that software algorithm. If it is licensed under a license which does not have any grant of patent license, then it will be more like grant of patent license, then it will be difficult. And if it is licensed under a license which has grant of patent clause, then the company is actually saying, we are not going to sue you for using any patents related to the software which we have made open source. The next one is reciprocal licenses. Reciprocal licenses are those licenses which has some reciprocal duties, like the users have to perform some duties in return. An example of reciprocal license is GNU General Public License. It's a famous one. In a recent Google versus Oracle case, when Eric Schmidt had said that the acronym GNU stands for GNU not Unix, the judge with a disbelief reacted. That doesn't make any sense. And how I totally remember when I first heard of it. The GPL actually says that you should pass on the 4 freedoms which you got with the software. So the freedom spreads over to the society. The 4 freedoms of the free software are the freedom that you can run your soft program as you wish. So if you consider your software to be a sandwich, so you can do whatever you wish to do with your sandwich. You can play with it, you can throw it, do whatever you wish to do. You can, and the next one is very important. You get the right of modification. You can put bacon on it, cheese on it, make your own sandwich. So you're getting the source code, the right of modification, and the right of distribution. Right of distribution and redistribution. And you can redistribute the copies of the newly made and modified versions with the source code itself. The next one is a very important thing, copyleft. Now let's take a little bit left turn. Let's discuss a bit about copyleft. What is copyleft? We can define it as a master plan or policy for the promotion, advancement of the free software. It is the most prominent plan to spread the software freedom. The copyright actually is a clever hack on the copyright laws. The difference between permissive license and copyleft license are that the biggest difference between these two are this permissive license can be used in proprietary application, whereas copyleft cannot be. Now here are the best practices. It is the implementation time. First one, Choose a proper license based on the use case. A license, by choosing a license, you're actually making a boundary for your software. A license you must choose a license that accomplishes the goal of your software. The license actually shows the aim, the intention of the software. It is so important that I'll be discussing about this in a little bit. If a license file, it is very important. You should have a license file. It may be a license.md file or license.txt file in your software's in your project. The file should have the name of the license as well as the full text of the license document itself. Add a copyright header. Add a copyright header to each significant source code file. By significant, I mean the volume and the importance both. And you should modify it from time to time as you make new releases. Setup.py. You should mention the name of the license in the setup.py and also in the classifier. If you have a README or similar introductory file where you contain all the package information, you should mention the license name over there and direct the reader to the license file. When freedom is important, then GNU GPL is the license for you. If you share about community, sharing, caring, and improvement of the community itself, then GNU GPL is the license for you. Now, this is very important. Do not invent your own license. There are plenty nicely drafted licenses. Please choose from one of them and use them. The legal experts knows law better. Trust me. So after listening to me very carefully and patiently, you still decide to write your own license. Then keep your funny bones aside. Don't write the phrases as, buy me a free beer, don't be evils. These has different legal implications. So if you write, buy me a free beer, then my legal mind will say, okay, I will physically have to go and catch hold of this person and give him a free beer. And otherwise, I won't be able to use the software. Therefore, please keep your funny bones aside. I don't have any problem your friends treating you with a free beer, but don't write in the license document. So now you're confused. Which license to choose? There are plenty of websites to solve this problem. Open Source Initiative is one of them. It maintains a very nice list of open source licenses from which you can choose. Also, copyleft.org provides a license, a nice list of licenses. A Fedora project also provides a nice list of licenses. There's another site, choosealicense.com. It is a GitHub maintained site. You can go and choose a license from there. And it also provides you with the certain scenarios which will be easier for you guys to choose from. Now, if you're confused and you don't know what to do, choose a popular license. By choosing a license for your project, you're not solely choosing a license for your project, you're also choosing a community, the constitution of that community. Therefore, choose a popular license that is popular in your community so that people can trust your software and can use them freely without being worried about the compatibility issues. I was very much unsure about the slide before I met the developers. The made that poll. Then with the developers, that what do they think about license? Then I think that it is appropriate to give that slide, that please read the license document carefully before you choose one. It is very important because there are licenses which requires you to do certain things. And if you don't do that, it won't be applicable for your software. You won't get the legal protection which you need. Therefore, for example, MIT license. There are many packages which has marked themselves as copyrighted, as licensed under MIT. But they don't mention the full license text in any of their substantial portion of their software. Therefore, and MIT requires you to do that. Therefore, the MIT is inapplicable in case of their software. They don't get the legal protection. Now, spend some time while choosing a license. Choosing a license is basically investing into a mutual fund. So spend some time, read the license document, decide your use case, then choose a license. And it's better to be safe than sorry in future. With that, I have come to the end of my talk. Thank you. Hopefully, it will be useful for you guys to choose a license in future. This is my Twitter handle and blog. Thank you. See you online and have a great conference ahead.
Thank you, Anwesha.
Yeah, I can take questions.